Hey, great day to you all. I trust that you've all woken up super grateful to be alive again another day in this experience. And I trust that you've all been able to set that high vibe for yourself by telling yourself all of those amazing things that you needed to hear. Like you're strong, you're smart, you're beautiful, you are capable, and you're going to flow. Feeling that love over worry and flowing from that state like water over rocks with ease and great force, yet least effort. Yes. I trust that you've all had happy holidays no matter what you were celebrating. And I trust that you've all been proud of all of your results that you've seen for 2025. And I trust that y'all are putting the best foot forward. Yes. As we do this final lap. Yeah, and that's how I like to see it. It's the final lap. 2025. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about what's to come in 2026. You know why? Because everybody has this shifting choice right now in their life. Yeah. If they've been able to face the truth of themselves, and the truth of what they've been tolerating that didn't feel right, and the truth of what they've been allowing, and the truth of, you see, this is the thing. I used to let everybody get away with everything. And I would sit back and have to get drunk or have to get high and really self-sabotage to get rid of everything that I took from people. Okay? I used to people please. Okay, what does that look like? My phone would ring, I would answer it, and I would drop everything for everybody else. No matter what I want to remind you all that for the past 13 years, I have been battling to stay alive. And during that time, I have kept more than I can count on two hands afloat during that process. So no matter what I was living, no matter what I had to endure, it didn't matter if I was sitting here with hands bandaged and couldn't even cook myself a meal. There was nobody here to help me. But during that time, I helped many. So people pleasing, what does that look like? Well, when you're too busy pleasing everybody else and their life before you please yourself. You know, and I did it for years. But we're all conditioned to people please. So this is what you have to realize. These are parts of us that are built in until we dismantle them. Yeah, people pleasing is a huge one. Why? Because we had to please our parents. We didn't have to. We just didn't want to see them displeased. We didn't want to see them upset. Why? Because in a child's loving state, that's the easiest thing for a child to do is love. Yeah, and they do it naturally. But when they see people that are miserable and unpleasable, it really messes with you. And then you try to do everything to please them. But miserable people, you can't make them happy. No, you can't. There's nothing that you could do on the planet to make them happy if they don't choose to be happy for themselves. And children are happy by nature. Well, that's how we all started. Each and every one of us. Well, this is where also people began to fear what other people thought, said, and did, because our parents would tell us, what happens in the house stays in the house. Why? Because of fear of what others would think. Right away, we were constructed with that dynamic. Well, these are the things that you have to dismantle. These are the things that you have to say, I've outgrown living like that. Times are changing. Am I changing with the times? Am I upgrading myself to the same capacity that I've upgraded my technology? I've upgraded my phone. I've upgraded my Wi-Fi. I've upgraded my laptop. I've upgraded. How many times have you upgraded during that time since the internet came out? Because I come from a time where there was no internet. I remember the first phones. They were bigger than a brick. I remember pagers. And it was really cool when pagers went from numeric to being able to read a message. Well, during that time, I've upgraded myself quite a bit. But for the past, I've been in this place for 13 years where I live. 13 years, same spot. When I was put here 13 years ago, I was put here to die. Yes, I was. Everybody thought that that's where I was heading. Yeah. And at that time, I had a team. 5 specialists. A team of doctors right down the street at the hospital where I ended up in ICU. Yeah, right down the street. And everybody assumed that that's exactly where I was heading. Well, if I continued living the way that I was, that's exactly where I would have ended up. Okay? And this is why I come out and I encourage you all to tweak and to update your systems, update the way that you function in this world, because times are changing. Medicine is still running on outdated knowledge. Simple. Maybe tech is advancing, but their knowledge, they deal with symptoms, not the core problem. Okay? How do I know? Because I had to love myself back to life. It wasn't medicine that did anything for me. Do you want to know that while I was having holes all over my body, they would give me bags of gauze and they'd give me bags of gauze, they'd give me scalpels, they'd give me tape, they'd give me everything and send it home with me. I had to do all of my own wound care. I had to do all of my own everything, eh? It's not medicine that cures you. It may alleviate your symptoms, but it's your own body that heals itself if you give it the conditions to. Well, figuring that out for myself, look at me now. Farthest thing from where I am is there. Well, you all have that capacity for yourselves too. Why? Because you're all made of the same thing I am. So when you take it down to the basics of that and you realize, well, there is no difference. It's like the trees. There's many different types, but they're all trees. It all functions the same. Well, that's the same way nature does. Well, you're nature. So you are exactly that thriving force that you see outside. You're nature, so you thrive like it. Look at a tree. It can lose, let's say in an ice storm, it can lose a branch. It can lose a whole section, but it'll revive itself if the conditions are met. Well, that's what I did for myself, and I teach others to do it. But that's all the process of upgrading how I function. I could have succumbed to allowing everything else to be the master of my reality. Okay? This is where I'm taking it to. Everybody has a choice. Do you want to be the master of your reality? Do you want to be able to be the cause of the effects that you see in your life? Or are you living based on what everything is causing you to feel? You see? So this is where you have to look at it and say, okay, am I the master of my reality? Am I allowing life and circumstance and the things that I have to go through govern how I feel, how I operate, and how I make my next move. Because I acted like that for a long time. Yes, I did. I said, oh shit, all this is happening to me. I was the victim of my circumstance. I was the victim of the story. I was the victim of everything. I was the victim, actually, of my own mindset and what I had been conditioned to believe about myself. So I get all of that. And this is why I can assist people to pull themselves out of that state. I walked it. I know what it is. But 13 years ago, I was put in this apartment to die. It's the farthest thing from where I'm at now. Well, I also know what drove me to that state. And that wasn't a doctor telling me about it. That wasn't a therapist telling me about it. That was me going, okay, fuck, I gotta fix this shit. I gotta fix this shit, and nobody else can. Well, I did. So much so that I teach others to fix their shit too. And what is fixing your shit? Taking all that shit that you believe you're a victim of and realizing where it helped you. Where did it push you forward in your life? Where did it redirect you to greatness? Because while you're stuck looking at that as shit, that's all it is. Take that shit and fertilize growth. How did all that hurt help you? How did it make you more aware? How did it advance you in your life? Because I can guarantee it did. Maybe you don't see it like that because you're stuck looking at the shit part. Well, guess what? Flip the view. There's a double-edged sword. So everything that I lived in my life that was brutal, it helped me. When I talk about running the gauntlet every day of my life, I did for 47 years until I said no more. 2021, fully activated. And it took me 9 years to get there. So no matter what I was living here, and no matter what anybody believed for me, and no matter how many times I was told, you're dead in a week. There's no way that you can survive this. You know how many times I've been told that? I was tried to be convinced that at 16 hours to live, Tobi, you're dead. You're living in a body bag. Okay. It's farthest thing from where I'm at now. Did I have a kidney transplant? No. Do I have medical records proving my kidneys were dead? Yes. Did I ever have dialysis? No. You know how many times they told me I would be dead? More than I can count on two hands. And told me insistently, you can't survive it. Well, guess what? Hi, everybody. I more than survived it. I applied all the learning from it. You see? So what had happened? I don't care. So what? I used to do drugs. So what? I used to drink. So what? I walked hell for 47 years. I turned that hell into heaven on purpose, with intention, and I acquired the gold at the end of the rainbow. What is the gold at the end of the rainbow? Well, actually, when you've passed the enlightened stage, so you've hit the realization that your biggest battle is your own ego, and you dismantle that, and you acquire your crown, so you finish the game, well, the gold at the end of the rainbow is the truest knowledge and the connectivity to all things. Yeah, it is very clear. The connection is very clear. Well, there's no bigger win in this lifetime or the game of life than to acquire that gold at the end of the rainbow. And to beat the ego That's the final battle. To win the game is to beat the ego and the power over you. Once you do that, you've completed the game and you acquire the gold at the end of the rainbow. But when you realize and you acquire that state for yourself, outside of you, there's nothing that you need humanly, because you know you've hit the big win. There's no bigger riches than that on the planet. Well, I've acquired that, and I finished the game of life, and that's why nothing took me out. That was a choice on me to keep going. Well, you all have come so far in this game of life. Now it's time to reflect. We're in the last lap of 2025. No matter, who cares if this isn't the real year? Who cares about all of these things that are happening outside of us? What's happening inside of you is what matters. First of all, you're not a victim of this life. You chose it. Yeah. You said, yes, I want into that game. Yes, I want these people as my parents. I want these people as my siblings. I want this as my life story. Because I want to learn this through it. Why? Because my soul needs to evolve and level up. So in this dark density, why do we jump into this game? Well, because it's the darkest density in entirety of existence. So this is hell. And living in this dimension is in the state of hell. Unless you embody a state of your genuine blueprint. And that's a part of this game. Is to jump in, be conditioned away from all of our innate powers. Well, along the game of life, the journey is to acquire back all those skills and experience that you innately have in your toolbox for life. But a lot of people don't realize that they're filling their toolbox of life. They're thinking that, oh, this is happening to me. That's happening to me. Listen, there's nothing that's happening to you. You're playing a game of life. And like I've said many times, it's like a video game. So when you sit and you analyze, and you take a look at, oh boy, okay, am I running the same level over and over and over again and get stumped at the same spot? Like, how can I use my bag of experience, skills, knowledge, and wisdom to maneuver out? Just like you'd be playing a video game. And you'll get to a point that you have a hard time getting through. Well, are you going to give up and you're going to stop playing a game because you're just having a hard time to get through that one spot? No, you're going to push a little harder because you're not going to let that stop you. Well, this is how you've got to apply it in your life. Life is like a video game. It's the game of life for a reason, and the illusion is real. And this is why you have to be clear about you. And know who you are and where you're going and all of your skills and experience and capacities. And be aware of your toolbox of life. I talk about it in my first book. Yeah. And there's nothing that's happened to me that has caused me to be dead, to go bitter, to live in fear. Maybe all of that stuff happened to me as learning during the levels of the game. But where I sit now, having acquired the gold at the end of the rainbow and leading others to that state, I'm the master of my reality. There's nothing outside of me that can cause my reality to feel tainted or knock me out of my heart space. Nothing. And I'm to the point of the game where I understand that whatever anybody is living, feeling the consequences of their own choices. Life is not happening to them. They have to feel it to heal it. And when shit blows up or when things fall, that's the tower moments in tarot. Things sometimes have to blow up for it to fall into place. And I believe it because my life had to blow to shit for it to grow the way I needed it to grow. And to be able to take that shit, turn it into fertilizer. But all of you can do that too. And we're in the last lap of 2025. It's, what do you want for yourself? And you got to stop limiting what you want according to what you see as circumstance. You're more powerful than any situation, circumstance, or scenario. You just got to get clear about what does my heart want, because I've got a highest potential that flows through me, that loves me back to life daily. You're breathing today. You got up out of bed. What do you think got you up? It is the love and the highest potential that is governing everything in it for you. Well, it's time to take that and harness that and water what you want to see in your reality. Stop watering everybody else's reality with people pleasing and giving them the permissions of meaning more to you than you do. Nobody should mean more to you than you do. When I realized that for myself, there's nobody on this planet that means more to me than me. Nope. I lived like that. Well, it also brought me to total organ failure and septic shock. No, I don't need to live that twice to figure that out. No. And I don't need to repeat lessons once I've learned them. Realizing there is no good and there is no bad. And everybody has this is good and this is bad. Fuck all that shit. I don't play that yo-yo. No. I stay in the neutrality of all things. And it was funny because I was having a discussion the other day and somebody was saying, well, all things are meant to be the way that they are. Well, no, not if you're not doing what's right for you. You see, a lot of people spiritual bypass by saying, things that happen, it's all meant to be and whatever. Yeah, but how are you functioning? Are you functioning from your heart and doing what's right? Because if you're not, well then no, things aren't just there and doing the way that they should be. No, you're living the culmination of all your choices. It's a video game. If you choose not to seize the day and every opportunity to breathe fully in its capacity of the highest potential that it gives you, well then you are causing the effect of being tired, being full of anxiety, being scared of what people think. Because you're allowing it to function within you. And this is why I say you've upgraded all your tech. You've upgraded you're definitely not the same person you were in grade 2, right? Well, who have you become? This is what clarity on you is all about. Who have you become? Does being you genuinely make you feel good? Because being me for a very long time did not make me feel good. So much so I can proudly say I tried to kill myself 3 times. Okay? That's how not good I felt about being me. And what I had to live. And what I had to carry. Farthest thing from where I am now, eh? This is why you have to have clarity about you. And everybody thinks, I got to be clear about this person, that person, this, that. No, you got to be clear about you. What feels good to you? Does being you feel good to you? And if it doesn't, you better make some changes. And it's not about anybody else. And it's not about what anybody else is doing. And it's not about your bank account. And it's not about what you have. Because in a blink, that can be gone. Who are you in all of it? Because that's one thing. I may be in government housing and have been like for 13 years. Why? Because I was put here to die. So this place served its purpose. Will I be here for till the end of this year? Oh, fuck no. I'm on my way out. At any means necessary. Okay? If I can raise myself from the dead, I can get the fuck out of government housing. Okay? And that'll be my focus this year. Simple. Why? I'm in court with them too, because they're going to pay me my exit for all that they tried to inflict on me. I'm very clear about me. You see? And this is what I encourage everybody to be. Very clear about you. Where do you put your time? Where do you put your energy? Who do you give your life force to freely to feed off of? Are you a gas station for all your friends and family? What does that mean? Well, every time anybody, oh, I need something, you're the first one to run and fill that need. I used to do that too. Until I said, whoa, there's nobody catering to my needs and not even me. Because while I'm catering to what everybody else needs, there's nobody, not even myself, catering to what I need. I'm going down the drain. This is killing me. So this is why I ask, are you clear about you and where you put your energy and what you invest in for you? And what's the investment? Is by the end of the day that you can feel full in your heart and go to bed with a clear conscience. Did you get the most out of your time in this game of life? Did you play it out fully? You see, you got to be clear about you. And what do you want to feel at the end of your days? And I don't mean at the end like, okay, you're going to croak. I mean at the end of your day, every day. What's your intention for your energy all day long? What are you getting at the end of the day? Do you sit there every day feeling burnt out, feeling exhausted, feeling drained, feeling like you want to cry your eyes out, feeling like you need to escape from your reality? Because I know what that feels like too. And that's where I used to sit and get fucking hammered. Okay? Where I used to sit there and do all kinds of shit to escape what I was inflicting on my own self. All you gotta do is just upgrade the programming. Get clear about you. Realize you're not a victim of anything. You survived it all. And you thrived through it all if you're still breathing. Own that highest potential of your power going, holy shit, man. I'm in a vehicle that, whoo, look at what it has endured, and I'm still here today. Give yourself that love. Go, holy shit. No. Because when I look at everything, what? And nothing stopped me, and I'm getting better by the day no matter what? Come on now, people. Anybody on this face of this planet can do it. Nobody is bound to anything. Yeah, you got to feel the consequences of your choices, and we all have free will to choose whatever it is that we want. But we're not free from the consequences of those choices. Why? Because you have to feel it so that you learn from it. And if you don't learn from it, from being distracted and avoidant and denying it exists, you'll never fix it. That's just something that your body's going to forget about, and it's going to carry and lug it with you, because you may avoid everything that you're carrying, but your body is carrying it, so it doesn't avoid anything. You think your body has to avoid manufacturing urine or preparing you to take a dump? No. And if it did, you'd have some serious problems. You think your body can avoid allowing you to breathe? If it did, you'd be dead. Avoidance is the key to disaster, eh? And that's all it'll take you to. That's why I tell people, don't avoid anything. No, head on. Let's deal with it. And that's why people think, oh, Tobi's aggressive. No, I'm not. I just deal with shit straight on. Let's do this. Let's get it out in the open and let's talk about it. And half the time, people cannot handle the truth. No, they can't. They run from it. They distract themselves from it. They drink themselves out of it. I know. I did it. So me, I don't sit back as somebody that learned all of this shit from a book and said, okay, guys, this is how you have to live your life because somebody mentored me to do it. No, I walked this fire. But I also put out the fire by turning my hell into heaven with intention and on purpose. And if anybody is living in a hellish state, scared, feeling guilty, feeling ashamed, that's hell. You're living in a state of hell. And if you look at the dimensional chart, you'll see that for yourself. Where are my charts? You know what? Where are my charts? I've moved some stuff around in my place. Let's see if my charts are freely accessible. Where are my charts? Where are my charts? I moved some stuff around. Oh, I'll have to pull them out tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, actually, my charts are here. Guys, if you're living in fear, guilt, or shame, you're not even flowing. Okay? You're dismantled. Your stomach hurts. You got kidney problems. You got lower back pain. If you're a woman, you're not functioning. If you're a dude, you're not functioning. You got problems down there. It's all emotional baggage that causes that. All of it. Okay? And your dimensional chart. If you're living in fear, you're in the state of hell. Okay? This is hell. This is hell down here. Okay? So when you're living in this state, this dimensional state of the lowered 3 chakras, look at the color coordination, okay? Can you correlate the colors? Well, when you're living in this state of fear, you're living in a state of hell. Okay? These lower dimensions. So my first book, Turning Hell into Heaven, is because, look, this is a heavenly state of enlightenment. When you're in the state of being clear about you, you're in the state of heaven. Okay? That's a heavenly state within. So when I wrote Turning Hell into Heaven, it is a dimensional shift within yourself. People don't have to get it. But that doesn't make me crazy or no. Listen, people can only absorb what they can understand. Okay? Now, if somebody is living in the state of hell, okay, and living in the state of their lowered self, this is frequency and the state that they embody within their body. So if you are walking around as an electrical ball that you are, what voltage are you kicking off? This is the thing people don't realize. You're an electrical force. Let's say you're a light bulb. Well, are you shining at 10 watts? Are you shining at 50 watts? Or are you shining bright like 100? Well, guess what? You can correlate these light bulbs and the way that they shine in the frequency of what wattage is being pumped out of it. Well, you can consider yourself to be like a light bulb. Well, what watts are you projecting? Because if you're living in the state of hell, which is living in a state of fear, guilt, and shame about your own self and your experience, you are literally living in a state of hell. So these aren't just words and expressions I'm using. These are factual energetic frequencies that honestly correlate even to the map of consciousness. This is to the expertise and the knowing that I have. Why? Because all of my body was poisoned. Every one of my energetic centers was blocked. My kidneys were dead. My liver on the way to being dead. My heart was going to explode. Okay? I was gurgling blood. Okay? My totality of my being was fucked. Well, I had to go within and dismantle everything that was ever blocking any one of my centers to love myself back to life. While realizing how to do it and realizing that I had been living in a state of hell and my whole life, I took all of my learning and I applied it, and I loved myself back to life, taking my state of hell and turning it into a state of heaven. That's why my book is called Turning Hell into Heaven. And that was my first book. Well, I also wrote that in 24 hours, the minute that I was crown activated. I crown activated that weekend. I sat and I wrote that book and I figured out how to get it published. So it took me 3 days from start to finish, from writing it to publishing it on my own with no help. After I was activated, after I had hit the gold at the end of the rainbow. When I talk about the gold at the end of the rainbow, it is a true state. Okay? Well, everybody's been made to believe in their life that there is no gold at the end of the rainbow. It's a fictitious thing with leprechauns and a pot of gold. No, you really have a pot of gold at the end of your rainbow. But it's up to you what state you choose to live in. This is why you got to be clear about you and what you are doing to you, because nobody's doing anything to you. No. Instead of everything else being the master of your own reality, it's time for you to become the master of your reality. Yeah. Because you can factually turn the state of hell into the state of heaven. And how do you do that? You have the courage to look at yourself. That's all it takes. Courage is the tipping point. Yeah, to empowerment. That is the tipping point to empowerment. Look. So, what is the state of hell? Well, it's shame, guilt, despair, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. Well, courage is here. And then guess what? What is that? Can you guys see it? Neutrality. There's a real neutral point of passage within your being that I talk about. That's the PowerPoint. And if you can't stay in the neutrality of your being, well, then you quickly go back to the state of hell. Yes, you do. So, courage and is right before being neutral. Do you see that? Courage. And then it's neutrality. I know it probably doesn't, you don't see it the same, but you have to have the courage to become neutral to you. Neutral to your experience. Actually, I'm being guided to do it like this so that you really can see it and you guys can take a screenshot, so no problem, I'll do it. All right, so the best way to do this with you all is this. So here, look. When you're living in a state of hell, look at this. You're living in a state of shame, guilt, despair, grief. Oh, yeah, grief is a bad one. Fear. So grief, when you're living in a state of grief, you're actually in a lower frequency than fear. See the numbers here? All right. So this right here, what is this? It's the victim abuser consciousness. This is the, actually, I should do it like this. This is the me, that's the me phase. Okay? And it's all about me. Somebody in there, me. I'm such a victim. Look what happened to me. When. That's all of that. The when. The wah. Okay, the cry phase. The victim abuser. I learned that phase well because I lived in it for 47 years. You see, well, I had to have the courage, right here, courage, to become neutral to my life and the hell that I had lived in order to be optimistic about accepting who I am. Wow, that empowered me greatly. Into self-realization. Now, I want to bring you over to this side. Because when you're living in the me, wah, victim abuser consciousness state, well, guess what? You're living in a state of hell and nothing but. Well, when you can come out and have the courage, okay? Look where you're living. You're coming out of your purgatory phase, and then you're stepping into an in-between. An in-between. So you haven't hit the heavenly state, far the fuck from it, okay? You're closer to hell still. All right? And it's all a dimensional state of embodiment. So when you're looking up, when you're finally here and you want to empower yourself. So how does this become? Because you get sick and tired of being the victim. Yeah. That's what has to happen. You got to get sick and tired of being the own victim to your own fucking choices, to actually have the courage to be neutral to your own self and optimistic about accepting your inner light. And then what you have to do? Well, in order to step into your own paradise, you have to take all of this shit and fertilize your inner wisdom. So you take all of your learning and your growth and you have to do something with it. Well, you have to apply it in your life. Your inner wisdom. So let's correlate this to chakras, okay? Let's correlate it. Let's do it. So, here, while you're living in here in this me, wah bullshit state, look, you're stuck here. You can't even feel your own heart. You can't love yourself. So when you get neutral and you step into your green, that's actually stepping into the love for yourself. Yes, you see? Your heart, your love, your I love. All right? But when you're living in the state of hell, well, guess what? You're just surviving because you're living in fear. Okay? So it's very much survival. It's simple survival. You're scared of what people think, say, and do. You don't make any move without your own. It's a real state. Well, you cannot feel the pleasure of life in that state. Okay? And you feel like shit. You feel tired. You feel totally in contradiction to what fuels you. Because in factuality, what fuels you is this heavenly state all the time. It's just people want to live in a lower dimensional state. So they induce it on themselves. But this enlightenment over here, once you battle the ego, because look, when you get up here and you've applied it to inner wisdom, self-realization state, you've realized that you matter and that you put yourself first. Nobody can claim to be in a self-realized state when they're still living in hell. I already know this is climbing Jacob's ladder. And I can tell and sniff when somebody's living anywhere here because I had to master each step to keep climbing. So when people are trying to throw me anything from down here, I see it as clear as day. Why? Because I'm already sitting up here in full consciousness. So, not looking down on anybody, but I can sure as fuck tell whatever state they're in. Because I'm way past the self-realization state. I had to realize that I was doing that shit to myself. And inner love. Love myself back to life. To push myself for the rest of the climb. Now, the rest of the climb, When you realize that you are nothing but love, well, there's a oneness in that. And then you become one with the love that fuels you. And you embody that frequency. And then you become very present. And then you realize the non-duality of things. So this is when I talk about there's no good or bad. Well, there isn't. Okay? You have to embody this state of non-duality in this heaven here to be able to embody the state of enlightenment and the I am presence. Okay? Well, if you're still living by, oh, that's good and that's bad, you're not even embodying the presence of your heavenly state. You see? And a lot of people, this is the fifth dimension. This is where we're moving to as people right now. The energy is forcing people to live here. Now, let's look at the blue with the green. And over here, when you look at the blue and the green and the darker blue, this is love and truth. The truth of itself. Your breath knows the truth of itself, no matter what word you attach to it. Well, so does humanity and the energies of it. So this is the new human consciousness. So this is the upgrade for all of humanity to realize the wisdom within, embody the inner love, and become one with themselves. This is the standard operating frequency for people to be okay right now. Well, this is a paradise state. This is not one of hell. So if you're living in a state of hell within your own self, this is why I say you're fucked. Because you have to embody the frequency that everything on the earth is embodying right now to be able to plug and play. Okay? So my first book, Turning Hell into Heaven, is actually to take your state of hell and turn it into a heavenly state within. Okay? When I talk about climbing Jacob's ladder, this is Jacob's ladder. Now, in order for you to realize there is no good or bad and tap into universal consciousness and embody the great void, well, guess what? Well, you're not trying to fill yourself with anything because you understand the void is where your power is. Why? Because that's the gold at the end of the rainbow. Is to be in the void state and get comfortable there with nothing. The nothingness is the power of all things. Well, that's when you can embody divine grace and love and unify that within and end up with full consciousness tapped into, see that? 12D universe. Well, this is the 12D universe. Full consciousness. You see? Full consciousness. Well, in order to climb Jacob's ladder and get to full consciousness, you must turn your hell into a state of heaven. And that doesn't take overnight. And you got to clear your passage right through. But a lot of people right now, just to be able to live in New Earth, they don't even have to get that far. But they do have to turn their state of hell into at least the neutrality point. Becoming neutral and accepting the truth. The inner light, the truth that you're an energetic being first. Or you're dismantling your capacities to plug and play. Simple as that. But this gold at the end of the rainbow is real. And this is it right here. The truest embodiment of your enlightenment state. And that you're only at an 800. Well, even after my embodiment and finishing the game, I still wanted to reach the final stage. I kept going. I like to master things. I don't stop halfway. Well, I live right now, and this is also why you see Tobi 1000 hertz. Okay? Because you realize once you get there, full consciousness, you have nothing to do but breathe. because you are one with all and everything. You see? It's not an ego. I don't have one of those. The ego keeps you locked into actual fear. Why? Because your ego is constructed from fear. So from when you were a child and your parents made you scared of anything, well, guess what? That's where you're living. You've been locked into the state of hell ever since, believing that you're a victim to life. And you've been abusing the shit out of yourself, believing that you must. So you got to stop that, and you got to be clear about who you are and where you want to be. And you want to be in the frequency of new humanity consciousness. You want to be in the fifth dimension with the rest of everybody else. You don't even have to hit the 12-dimensional state within. But I encourage everybody to do it, because guess what? This is why I show people how to take their hell and turn it into heaven. It's frequency. Well, you've got to dismantle everything that's blocking you from these states, because this is who you truly are to begin the game. You're in a state of heaven when you're born. It's just the game dismantles it and locks you into a state of hell. Literally fear. And this is why I tell people that the easiest way to manipulate anybody is to make them scared. Because it locks them into the confusion of their own inner hell. And this is why I see through all of this shit. You know why? Because I had to live it, master it, and turn my hell into a heavenly state within to hit the gold at the end of the rainbow. Simple as that. Okay? And when I hit the gold and realized I had 2 more rungs to go, why wouldn't I come up for air and finish the game? Well, this is the game. And this is the game of life. Well, according to your frequency and according to the state that you embody is according to the same results that you're creating for yourself. So if you're living in a state of hell, your results are locking you to hell. Yes, they are, because that's all you're producing. You're producing from your state of being first. So if you're producing from a victim abuser consciousness, well, guess what? That's all you are. That's all you're creating. And that's all you're doing to yourself. And this is why you got to get real clear and have the courage to become neutral to your whole experience. Who gives a shit what happened? It doesn't matter. You're brand new today. And have the optimism and acceptance of your inner light and inner wisdom to embody who you truly are and the power of love within and become one with it. And then understand your presence and what it brings, accepting that there is no true duality. And these are the rungs you've got to master. And every one of these levels, well, you got to only fight you at the end of it. And what is that fight? Whether you're going to push forward or whether you're going to fall back into hell, into the pit of hell. And we've all been thrown into the pit of hell according to what we believe. We've all been shamed. We've all been guilted. We've all been put in a state of despair. We've all grieved things we've lost. And we've all been living in a state of fear. Well, we've all know what desire is, and we all know what it is to be angry. Okay? Well, start to take some pride in your life and have the courage to be neutral. You see, it's when I talk about these things, it's a real thing that I'm expressing and explaining and trying to lead others to a state of heaven within them, their own self. And be very present and get that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Yeah. And how do you do it? Well, you love yourself and you speak the truth of your being, because loving yourself and speaking the truth of your being, well, guess what? Let's look over here in the green and the blue. What is that all about? Well, it's about accepting your inner light, your inner wisdom, your inner love, and becoming one with your own damn self. And speaking the truth of your being. That's why nobody can fucking make me shut up. No way. I speak the truth of my being and it knows the truth of itself. And I've climbed that ladder. So from where I sit at the pinnacle, well, I tell you, unless somebody else has done this climb, they have no fucking idea. Do you think I'm going to let them control or be the master of my reality? No, I'm not in a victim state. I am the master of my reality, fueled by all things. So now I really trust that you guys have a different understanding of it all. And realize that it's not just something that I'm saying, words. These are real things that now you got to get clear with you. And what do you want for you? Forget what everybody wanted for you. What do you want for you? I'm being told to remind you all I don't see any comments. So if you left comments, I won't see them until I get off the live. But now's the time to really get clear with your own self. And do not allow that victim consciousness for yourself. But if you can't even take a look at you and you distract yourself from you, like there's nothing that nobody can tell me about me that I don't fucking know. Yes, I'm loud. Yes, I'm assertive. And yes, I don't put up with any shit. Yes, I see through it all. Yes, I cannot be manipulated. Not at this stage of the game. But I also can lead others to know exactly what they need out on every single rung of that ladder. Because you know how many times I slipped off those rungs and there was nobody to catch me? And I fell right back to the bottom of the pit of hell? Yeah, you know what? Let me explain it like this. You know how many times I started the climb and I would get to here, there, or anywhere and kick myself right back down to the pit of hell? You know how many times I said, okay, I'll never accomplish this full consciousness. I'll never get there. Well, it's endurance, it's optimism, it's faith, it's putting the best foot forward every day, rewiring my brain, not settling for less, fighting battles and the darkness of it all by myself to really have the courage to get the fuck out of there for good. Well, I did. That's why I won't accept anything for myself that's less than the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Because I've acquired it. Well, I also know what it takes on every rung. Because I walked it. I'm living, breathing proof of climbing Jacob's ladder. It's just there's not too many that are willing to do the climb, like willing to do the climb of the mountain. Why? Because at every level, you got to adjust to the altitude and the shift of frequency. You can't jump from living in shame at a 20 hertz to full consciousness. Your body won't be able to take it. It's like, your body won't be able to take it. So you have to go little by little by little and change your frequency and adjust and climb a little more and change your frequency and adjust. It's just like climbing a big mountain. You can't. Well, a lot of people give up and they just stay in the state of hell because that's all they know. I don't encourage any of you to stay there. Not at all. Have the courage to look at your own self. Stop watching what everybody else is doing. It doesn't matter unless you're allowing them to be the master of your reality. Because if you're just watching what everybody else is doing, well, then you're too busy watching what everybody else is doing. Forget what they're doing. What are you doing? Because me, I couldn't care what anybody does in their day. I don't care. It's where do I put my energy that matters. And I'm not living in the state of hell anymore, and nor would I ever let anybody put me back there. No way. No way. I'll offer them that, hey, you can get yourself out of feeling like that. Because I can't help you do that unless you want that for yourself. I'm already at the top of the mountain going, oh, fuck, look at the view from here. Well, I can't expect anybody still living in a state of hell to understand the view from where I am. Because they won't. And if I expected that from people, it would lead me quickly to disappointment. I don't expect nothing from another individual. Nothing. I expect it all from myself. And that's why I come out and I encourage you all to do the same. Free yourself from the state of hell. Because it's self-induced. And when you stop playing victim to your own damn self and you take accountability for what you do to you, well, you're going to stop bitching. about your life, about people. You're going to stop giving a shit about what others are doing. You're going to really focus on what you're doing. And I encourage y'all to do that. Because yes, the afterlife, there is no heaven and hell. Heaven and hell is the state that you choose to live your game of life out in. That's the state of heaven and hell while you're breathing. Because of this dimension. And we are living in a third dimension, which keeps people locked in fear. Well, guess what? The whole planet has moved now from the third dimension to the fourth dimension. And exceedingly now to the fifth. So guess what? If people are still stuck in the hell, well, they're not shifting with the planet. So it's, yeah, okay? That's a real discrepancy of energy. Well, this is why I say people that can't embody their own love aren't going to make the cut. So now it's time to really look at you. Are you loving yourself to your highest potential that it does for you? Because it gives you everything. It regulates everything in your body, even from what you do to yourself. It regulates it all. Get clear about you. Because like I say, there's nothing that anybody could tell me about me. I've mastered me and become the master of my reality on purpose and love myself back to life. I'm the living proof of it. I love y'all. And yes, you can turn your hell into heaven. And if you want a free copy of my Turning Hell into Heaven, go to the Calendly link and go get it. There's a downloadable at my Calendly. You guys can go get it for free. You don't need to pay for it. But if you're interested in having a real good eye-opening read, that just might change your life. I love y'all. Have a great day. Stay magical on purpose. Yes. And let's go. Let's go because it's 2026. And guess what? You want that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And don't settle for anything less. And yes, love yourself back to life. And go for the gold. I love you all. Very much so. Have a great day. Peace.